Hello.
Hello to everyone out in the entire world watching this. All of you, each individual set of ears listening in or
They're
eyes
all here.
watching. Welcome to Scream Fix, Ep.2. We got a lot of feedback about Episode 1. Less talking, more screaming. We knew it. We're gonna do it.
Yep.
That's really all this is about. Everything else, just consulary, doesn't matter, not what we're here for. We're gonna scream. That's
Facts.
all we're gonna do. And I want to just address it now that like we're about to just scream and then we're gonna be done. But real quick, I guess I should introduce us. I'm Brian Feller. Oh, I guess I'm going by Feller for this. And I'm with my illustrious co-host, the founder of ScreamFix,
Co-founder.
Will Young. And you know what?
That's
I
me.
just want to get this out of the way real quick. You look fucking fantastic. You've been dieting. You're always dieting, but you've been doing that plus some extra, you know, walking activities, walking from your house to my house, which was insane. And then you went and chopped off all your coronavirus hair, the
I did. I
quarantine haircut.
chopped it off. It was
Yeah, you
time.
look you look like Ryan Reynolds, which is a compliment.
I get
Let me
that all
ask
the
you,
time.
I bet you do. I bet you do. When you're cutting your hair and it's looking like this, that's like the only comments you can receive. But let me ask one question. So, did they do anything to your beard even? Or is that
No,
just like looking better by, disposition of you being in better shape, having a different haircut? I think something's happened to your beard, or
it's
did you do it yourself?
I gave it a little trim. I don't know. I don't think I've touched it much since last we spoke, but I think the hairdresser like faded it into my hair to the beard, but she didn't give me a trim or anything, but
Man, link is going to be in the description of where to go get your haircut if you want to look really fucking awesome like William does. Um, so let's get to screaming. Do you know
yeah.
what kind of scream you're going to do?
I don't know. I've been thinking about it. I was thinking like either maybe like medieval knight that just got impaled, or
Oh, that's a particular scream. I like that.
yeah, or maybe take it all the way back to the classic and just try to emulate the Wilhelm scream. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not actually. Please explain and
Oh man,
elaborate.
it's like the scream that's used in everything, like every movie, every video
Oh,
game. There's like this
yep, I
classic
know about
scream.
this.
Yeah.
Mhm. For the audience, though, keep going. But I know
Oh, I mean that's
that it.
pretty much it
That's
for the
it.
most of it. Like it's just I think Wilhelm was the name of the voice actor. I could be wrong, but I imagine that's what Wilhelm is referring to. And it's just like this. I don't want to do it now in case, we do it here in a second, but
Oh,
it's
we're
just
about to
like
do it.
you've heard
Yeah,
it before. Like Google it after this. Like you'll recognize it instantly. It's literally in everything.
yeah. It's known even by people like me who forget it and then remember it. It's known.
Right.
But hey, real quick before we scream, which is what we're here to do, the only thing that matters, the only reason people are tuning in. But
Right?
before we get to that, did you happen to see Falcon Winter Soldier Episode 2?
Oh, I did actually.
Oh my God, what did you think? Hit me with your thoughts.
Man. All right. I think we maybe even touched on this last week, when we got distracted from our screaming. So, like, I don't want to tread down that same path, but just give me a minute here.
Mhm.
I loved
I'll
it.
give you all the time in the world.
I loved it. And if you'll allow me to goose for a minute, like,
Goose.
again, I had these thoughts, like, as I was watching it, just that, like, I love these shows and I love, like, the things we get to explore because they exist. Like, just like, and I'll maybe touch on this in a bit if we get into more specifics, but like just certain moments that have
Specific.
room that have room to breathe and just like different storylines that just we're getting to explore because we have 6 hours to explore it as opposed to like a movie where you don't really necessarily get all those nuanced scenes and get to dissect all these different things. But so I'm with WandaVision, loved it. 2 eps into this, loving it, and really excited for like what we really excited for the potential of not only this show but like just all the stuff we're gonna get from the MCU shows. Oh,
Yeah, WandaVision definitely killed any fear I had that these shows wouldn't be good. But and you know me, so you know this, but as things get really close, I start to panic and think of all the different things that could potentially go wrong or not be done right. And
Yeah.
so working up to this one, I figured it'd be a transition like we discussed before, but I also was like, are the TV shows going to have the same budget to really deliver the action? And in the first episode we saw, boom, they definitely were on the grand scale of special effects. But what's made Marvel so great, and even different Marvel TV shows like Daredevil, are the hand-to-hand action sequences and how those are done. And you need to have that when you're talking about the Winter Soldier. You know, you can kind of do more effects-driven stuff. Um, Not that it's any less, actiony, but for the Falcon, more CGI flight, explosions around him. Winter Soldier more hand-to-hand combat. So I was excited that, Winter Soldier here in the first two episodes, we've already seen a lot of action, um, while still getting a ton of the story as well. And speaking of the story, I thought it was interesting because we kind of got like the origin story of the new Cap here in this episode, which I
Yeah.
thought was interesting.
Same.
And one of the things I ended up doing because of how much I felt like this was, about the new Cap, Star Spangled Man, I think is what the name of the episode is.
Yeah.
I went back and I watched the Captain America First Avenger, the first movie, and it was really interesting to see because as I watched the episode, I kind of had a lot of thoughts, and then when I went back and watched Captain America, not all my thoughts really held and rang true.
Oh,
And,
interesting.
and yeah, just because he's at his high school, he's coming out to the band and the music, he's waving into the camera, and really since that first Cap movie, we would never ever imagine our Captain, the real Captain America, Steve Rogers, to do anything like that. But if you go back and watch that first movie, he did everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
like the Bond selling like propaganda tour thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, didn't go into war at all, wanted to, but then was convinced, hey, you can be more of a use over here. Did all the bond selling, learned and sang songs, like way more than this guy who just ran out to a band, which felt corny and cheesy in a
Yeah.
real way. And then had an interview. It was like, what? This isn't Cap. But then, like, I go back and watch that movie, and I'm like, actually, this is really similar to Cap.
Yeah, there were,
Um,
not to cut you off, but yeah, I felt
no, yeah.
like I noticed a ton of parallels between like, and they do have their differences obviously, which we could
Mhm.
talk more about in a minute, but like just all the parallels between new Cap and old Cap and like kind of the differences that make it important. But since we just talked about it, the band that is playing, when he comes out, the song they're playing is like a updated remixed version of the song from
Yep.
Cap 1.
I didn't catch that until the very end of Captain America. The song plays during the credits,
Mm.
and I was like, "Holy crap, this is the same song." And to your point, it's an updated version, a new take on it, if you will, but it's the same song.
Yeah.
"Star Spangled Man" is what the name of the song is. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
well
And
that makes
so,
sense.
yeah, I know. So, I just thought that how many other people out there are watching this and be like, "Oh, what? This guy is so washed. He's doing all this stuff." It's like, dude, what'd your Captain America do?
Yeah.
The same thing. And even beyond the Bonds thing, he's in movies, and they show him in that in the first Avenger movie. They show him in the theater watching his own movie and smiling while he's getting
Oh
applause.
yeah.
And then even when he goes overseas and he's performing for the soldiers, he's so clueless while he's out there, and he's like, well, we're on the same team, and like let me see if I can get the girls. They only know the one song, but it's like, yeah, I
Oh
mean
yeah, they
that
didn't like
guy,
him,
yeah, they
right?
didn't like him, and
That's
he was like confused by it.
yeah.
He was like, wait, what, guys? Because everyone else back home was obsessed and loved him, and it's got to be hilarious to be like up there superhuman abilities, just getting trashed by these guys who are like putting their lives on the line to make you feel really crummy about yourself.
Right.
And then, something that I really, really liked, by rewatching it is I knew Agent Carter was a big part of his story and a love interest and all of that stuff, but I really forgot how much she was involved with creating the man that became Captain America. And why I say that now is they brought a female in. I don't think it's been confirmed that by like in within the dialogue or show itself it's been confirmed, but I think outside of it everyone knows that that's like Olivia Walker, who's Johnny Walker's wife in the comics. Who knows if she ends up being a wife or ends up being a girlfriend? I'm not sure, but the fact that she was there at the very beginning I thought was really cool. Marvel does a great job of taking people's love interests or side characters, using them to like as a mechanism to add depth to the storyline for another character, and then they turn around and they grab those characters and they turn them into their own people. And this show is a great example of the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, getting their own shows. And I can't wait to see what she does. She could be the next Pepper Potts or the Valkyrie. I guess Valkyrie probably had a way bigger role, but Jane Foster, all of those characters that end up being badass characters
Yeah.
and fleshing out their own stories. I think Olivia could end up doing the same for this guy. And I thought it was also interesting that, we met Agent Carter at the beginning. Now we're meeting Olivia at the beginning. And not far behind, Bucky is Mr. Battlestar himself, Hopskin. Or is it Hops King or Hopskin?
It's well, now I'm confused. It's either Hopkins or Hoskins. I don't know
I think
which
it's
one now.
Hoskins. I'm glad I confuse us both. But him being there at the very beginning as well. So it was like, boom, you get your, this is my Bucky and this is my Agent Carter, or, maybe not even Bucky. This is my Sam. This is my Agent Carter, however you want to look at that. But I just liked that they brought those characters in just immediately. And they
Yes.
kind of made him nervous, made him feel human, and he just wanted to do the job. Talks about not wanting to keep doing the tour of shaking hands and stuff, and that's just so perfectly in line with the old Captain America, who's much more about doing the job than shaking hands. Not at the start, but eventually. So. Um, Liked the opening overall. Uh,
Yeah.
Quick question I want to ask you though is he's getting interviewed and he's like, I don't have tech like Stark or powers like Bruce Banner. Do you believe him? Do you believe that to be true?
Um. So I believe that what he's saying there, but uh, I'll expand on that. But I just want to touch on the opening as well. That I completely agree with everything you said there, and I think I also talked about this in the last episode. But I loved it because it's making him human, right? And it's making him like us have empathy for him. Whereas at first I thought, and I think most people thought, like, oh, I'm just gonna hate this guy. This guy's gonna be a piece of shit.
Hmm.
Screw this dude, right? He's not Steve Rogers. But like, I just loved that, like, he's like, yeah, I guess we don't know if it's his wife necessarily yet or just a girlfriend, but they established that they've been together since high school. So he's got like this high
Seems
school,
grounded.
yeah, they got this high school sweetheart, and they've got, like, from the little bit we've seen, kind of like a fun relationship, and she's there supporting him. And like you said, he's like nervous about it and wants to do good and do the right thing. And we kind of compounded by the fact that his friend Hoskins, whoever it may be, was also cool. And like, they have a cool, like, buddy friendship, just like Steve and Bucky and Sam. So uh yeah, not to take us too many steps backwards, but I just wanted to agree with you that, like, really liked that they are continuing to go this direction of, like, giving you reasons not to hate him, sort of.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, I feel like they're probably building us up so that we will hate him or have the
yeah,
opportunity to hate him later.
I mean, there's, yeah,
But I think they're intentionally right now showing us that even if we hate him later, maybe we hate him for different reasons other than him just being, Captain America's replacement. Because he's saying all the right things, he's doing all the right things. Even later on in the episode, his heart seems to be in the right place. Whether he's coming off as kind of a douche or not. I'd probably be hard not to
Yeah,
if you were just named the new Captain America of the world.
right. Big
Um,
shoes to fill.
yeah. Um, the one thing that I did, well, I'll save that. I think for um, I'm gonna save that.
Okay.
So
Uh,
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that. Sorry, I was just looking at some notes I took when I was watching, and the very opening, the very opening shot of the like zipper coming down. I think that was how the episode opened. Was like, zzz,
Mhm.
and it was the suit under there. I don't know if this is intentional or not. This may be me reading too much into it, a la Miss
Love this
Fortnite.
already.
Fortnite? Well, no. What was her name? Our teacher? Pause is not.
Pause not.
Miss
Pause
Pause
not.
not.
Shout
She
out Miss Pause not.
we had
She
a
loved that we were doing
we
this.
had a film is lit class, and she just made us dive into the most like obscure details that like probably weren't intended or even supposed to be anything. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I might be doing that here. But the zipping reminded me of like a morgue or like a coroner like unzipping a body bag, and it's the symbolism being that like this is Cap and he's like kind of desecrating this corpse or even like I don't know, like this is
I
probably a
liked it. I
stretch,
liked
but
it. I didn't like the desecrating corpse part. I feel
but
like it might be more so that putting on this suit is like committing to death,
mm,
because you're just Captain America until you die, period.
okay.
Um, but I do like the corpse idea.
And so yeah, that was just a random thought I had because that's just, I don't know, maybe it's just because I have a dark mind or something, but that's the first thing I thought when we it opened up on that zipper. I was like, is this a body bag that's being opened? But and one other thing on just that scene in the locker room, we were just talking about how they're making us like new Cap, and thus far at least he seems like an okay enough guy. I think the one kind of hint we got was from Hopkins. I'm just gonna call him Hopkins for now. Well, if it's wrong, we'll fix it later. Fix it in post. But yeah, exactly what you're doing. He's like, you can't punch your way out of this one, which is innocuous enough, but at least goes to show
Dude,
that
no, he
like
said you can't punch your way out of your problems anymore, which makes it sound like multiple times he hulked out or something.
right. So like, is he a violent person or does he like like we don't know like the implications necessarily of that because I mean it's his friend talking to him, and I don't think he was just like clowning on him in that moment, but obviously that didn't come from nowhere, right? So
Right. And I I have a lot of little bits and pieces of that type of information that I'm tying together as a Fosnot student myself, and I have a theory that he has powers already,
uh
and so that's
new
why
Cap.
he made that reference. New Cap, yeah, I feel like he has superhuman strength.
Okay, now that I covered my Fosnot stuff, I'll come back to what you're asking about. Do I think he was lying about the Tony Stark thing?
I think he was lying.
So, do you think he has super soldier serum already, or do you think it
Uh,
maybe is something else?
it could be something else. The reason why I even feel this way is because of the fight scene that happened. Um, and because of Bucky saying one line where he's just like, "Things are intense for you, huh, Johnny?" or whatever he calls him, Walker. And he's like, "What?" And I think it's like a throwaway line, maybe, but to me, or it's intended to feel that way,
Yeah.
but to me, it's saying it's like like setting us up to be like Bucky later on, being like, "I knew you had the serum the second I saw you throw the shield and I caught it. I knew that you weren't a freaking regular human being, bro."
Interesting. When did he say that? I don't. I'm not placed in that
So
moment.
they're by the cop cars after they get Sam or Bucky out of jail.
Okay.
They're walking by and he like sounds the alarm. They go over there and they talk. Then he's like, "Do you know where he is or not?" And he's like, "I don't, Bucky." And he's like, "Yeah, things are real intense for you, eh?" And I'm like,
Okay.
"Well, did you just
Okay. Yeah.
trigger?"
I remember
And
that
then I
now.
felt like because you triggered him, he was feeling him out. And he was like, "Yeah, dude, you're I'm on to you." That's kind of what I thought might be happening. Now again, we were both false not, disciples, so I'm probably reading into something that's not there. Um and we're kind of working through this in an odd way, and that's my fault, but um even just considering who gets introduced, I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, this will be how he gets powers." But I think they're tracking this already because they've got their powers. Then the source they got them from is now out here running amok,
Hmm.
and they're like, "Oh, we need to go take care of this and tie out all the loose ends." And that's why they were
Ooh,
tracking
I like that.
Red Wing. Because like, why else do they always track Red Wing? Like, I thought it was weird. They're like, "Oh, we didn't track you, we tracked the
Yeah,
Red Wing." And I was like, "Yeah, but you would have had to have been like actively doing it to be in a different country." Like,
right,
it's not like you just looked up and you're like, "They're in trouble, let's go." It's like,
right.
no, they've been following you from the jump.
I had thoughts on all those things as well, and not to jump too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
No, 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 I'm just as guilty of it, but wanted to give you my crazy ass theory on if
Yes.
he's got the serum or not, and I'm just taking the show's word for it at this point. I mean, he could clearly be lying, and that would just be a part of it and play into that,
The
theory.
PR, Captain America is no longer a super soldier.
Yeah.
He's a regular guy now, like you and me.
So I think that's even.
Lies.
I think it's more likely that he has the serum, but this is just I just got to throw it out there as an off the wall kind of thing. Um, so at still in the Good Morning America interview at the beginning, they're kind of going through his list of accolades or whatever, and
Oh shit.
they mentioned that his body has been
Got
studied
studied.
by
Yeah.
scientists at MIT. What? Like that's not normal. And
You think
two,
he's a mutant?
and that's where I'm going. Yeah, two,
I knew it. I knew the
he,
second you were like,
he,
Good Morning America interview. I was like, this motherfucker thinks he's a mutant.
he tested off the charts in several different categories, and then it shows him throwing the shield, which like I mean, I know in the trailers we've seen Sam throw the shield as well, so like I guess you don't have to be a super soldier to throw it, but that was like before this show ever existed. I thought that like the reason Steve could do that stuff with the shield was because he was enhanced, but
Yeah.
I mean, I guess not since we at least know
Bucky picks up the shield in the first movie. He gets hit with a gun ray and he falls off the train. And he like can't hold the shield very well. He's kind of like got it up and stuff. And so it's like,
Yeah, and not only does he hold the shield, but he throws it and hits like four targets 100 yards away, and it comes back to him. So like,
yeah. So
so
I'm
something's going
suspicious.
on. And so I was like, what if, since they have the rights to the X-Men now, that like I don't think John. I'm not familiar enough with the comics to know if at any point he was ever a mutant. I don't think he was. So like that's a pretty drastic change for them to introduce. But if he hasn't had the super soldier serum, then maybe he's a mutant and they're just kind of like slow dripping the introduction of mutants into the MCU. But again, I don't think this is really the case, but I thought it was kind of like a fun thing to
You
think
think it's
about.
the case?
And if it's right, I'm going to pretend like I called it and knew it 100% and I was fully confident, but I'm not confident at all and I don't think it's the case.
No, I like it. Me and you both just making tons of wild accusation theories. But one of the things I looked at when I was watching this episode is the power balance of everything. Um, and that's like for any kind of really for me it started with anime shows, something that you have to address, like, oh my god, I'm the strongest man on the earth until we discovered these people and then now they're the strongest and we have to
Yeah.
get strong enough to fight them. So because it's like, all right, so Johnny Walker's just gonna come up in here human style and like no one thinks this is an insane idea. That seems so unlikely. Like I would think there's enough people out there that got different serums or anything that give it to somebody, give it to Doctor Strange or try to, like you're just gonna give it to this one dude because he's like been successful on some missions. Seems
Well,
unlikely. And to his credit, he mentions putting in the work and he's got all of the accolades to back him up. But at the same time, I would still just be like, yo, we've had aliens fall from the sky. Like we're well aware humans don't cut it anymore.
I think that if he does have a serum and stuff, you're saying like kind of why him?
Well, no, I'm saying if he does, yeah, if he doesn't have the serum,
Oh,
why him?
you mean like why just take this normal ass dude?
Yeah,
Um,
and so because I mean, again, the power balance of this all is like Cap gets his first serum dosage, and he's like fighting in a war that has like no automatic weapons, and then
Yeah.
they get some Hydra weapons, but like it's a low technology. He's just battling other humans, rescuing people, normal hero army stuff. But as time has gone along, we're fighting mega humans and stuff, and he's
Right.
holding his own. He wouldn't let Thanos close his hands. Um, he's like just I don't think could be replaced by someone that doesn't have powers. I feel like that would be an oversight by whoever picked the guy with the next shield. Plus, in this new world, Captain's whole first movie is against one other person with the serum, and they don't even really fight the whole movie. Whereas they've got 6 super soldiers on this other bus that they're on fighting people, and he's just gonna walk up there with his buddy who's also just pure human and like get rolled up on, I feel like. But maybe I'm missing it, but I feel like there's too much of a gap between the people that we're facing villain wise and this new Captain America for him to feel the way he does about stuff.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't. I feel like he should be more like, shit, dude. Oh my god, those guys were strong. And he took that punch, fell off the car or fell off the truck, hit the car, and kind of got up without being like,
It seemed to be okay, yeah.
he was kind of like,
It's because he's a mutant.
I'm gonna get that girl. She should not have done that. And again, it's kind of like later on we see him and he's just walking it off like a superhuman punch to the gut. And again, just like you said with all the shield and stuff, I was like, that seems weird to me.
Yeah,
Like he could throw it really well and he saved his buddy with it. I was like, what?
that
I
I
don't
like that
understand.
moment. I wanted to bring that up because that's like another moment where they're like humanizing him and making him. They're like, I don't know. I just thought that was
He
kind of
just
like
gives
a.
up his shield.
He just throws it, and then they're both like, "Hey, that was
Yeah,
cool.
that was awesome.
We did it."
Get him, dude. It's like, yeah, here we come. Nope.
And he also just murked that dude real quick, which I liked, honestly, where he was just mid fight, and then was it Hopkins that was getting choked out? It might have been
Yeah. And
Bucky.
he yells something like live weapon or something.
And he just pops around, no scopes the dude from the back, and I was like, okay, this dude's got some skills.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree. He showed himself capable in that way. But again, it's just like you're not going to be good at shooting a gun and find yourself to be an adequate Captain America. I just don't.
Right, 100%, and I agree with that. But what I'll kind of offer as perhaps an explanation is that he's like he was chosen in his well, okay, I got kind of two things here I want to mention, so bear with me as I ramble. But first and foremost, I'm just kind of wondering what kind of power he has, and I don't mean physically, I mean like politically, and who chose him, who's controlling him, because obviously someone is, if not someone, then some branch of government or some organization, right? Like someone, there's some group of people that chose him to be the one to do this, and I think that to your point about like the power level of stuff and like what's a normal dude gonna do if he is indeed a normal dude, I feel like for him he's more of a pure propaganda machine and not really meant to be like a member of the Avengers, as it were. Like I think he's there to kind of
Okay.
like suit the government's needs and like make them look good, which is something Steve Rogers never did. He actually like actively went against the government, wouldn't sign the Sokovia Accords and stuff. So I think they were like, all right, if we're doing this again, we're getting somebody that we can control and is going to do exactly what we need to do,
Yeah, no,
and
that makes more sense.
and
I
yada
feel you.
yada yada. So I'm curious. One is to like, because he got Bucky, and kind of jumping ahead here again, but he got Bucky out of jail, and not only did he get him out of jail, but he got him absolved of his condition of his pardon to go to therapy, which like I know it wasn't Bucky, he was brainwashed, but dude was an assassin for 90 years. It seems like you couldn't just wave away the conditions of his pardon like that, but Captain America has that political power, so like I wonder how much power he really has and if like it really is just up to him or if he's getting orders from somebody.
I bet that's a little bit of both, but I mean, I'm sure he was like, "Yo, you guys want me to be successful? Let me do this guy a favor and get him on the team."
Yeah.
Um, and really, what I think we should just keep doing here is talk about all of Cap and Battlestar, and then swing back for the Bucky, Sam, and
Okay.
Isaiah moments. But
Okay.
um,
I
going
like
back
that.
to him bailing them out, they were like, or even at the fight bailing them out, and then giving them a ride and pulling up to him, and those guys walk straight by him. I think that was interesting because he like took it in stride, and
Yeah.
not that these are the same type of relationships, but even the Avengers, had their ups and downs of wanting to work together. And so it always took somebody trying to bridge that gap. And a lot of times it was Captain America. And so I thought it was interesting that he was sitting there trying to get everybody to work together. I think his Battlestar says, like, I've got mad respect for you guys. So there's definitely a little bit of olive branch extended to the our guys,
Yeah, for sure.
but uh, there was always one thing said too many, that would just rain on any good moment. And
Yeah.
I do like looking at one of them because it's like they wanted to come together, and he ends up saying, it'd be easier if I had Falcon or Captain's wingman by my side, and the Falcons seemed upset by that, and I get that to a degree, but a little bit I'm kind of like, I mean, you were his wingman, right? Like, I don't understand why
Yeah. I mean,
you
he
took so much offense to that.
he was, but like Steve never treated him that way. Like they were equals in
Yeah, but
Steve's
wherever
mind.
you go, I go. That's like another movie quote from him. And he's like, I just do what he does, but slower and
Yeah, well, it's
weaker.
cool if he says it, but it's not cool if somebody else says it.
Okay. I just kind of felt like, why is he pretending that he wasn't Captain's wingman? I mean, if we're being honest, he was. But I guess it's insulting to hear from someone who wasn't a part of the crew or thinks he's assuming captain. So now you're going to be my wingman or whatever. And maybe there's a little bit of racial undertones that he doesn't like that disrespect or whatever. Which again, I think race is a huge part of everything we're seeing in this series.
For sure.
With the loan and then some of the other stuff we can talk about eventually. But um, really that's all I had for Mr. Newcap.
Um,
Um,
I think I had a couple things. Let me just glance really quick. I know one thing that I already remember that I forgot to say is on the note of him potentially having some sort of power already, be it super soldier serum, be it mutant, be it whatever, is that train fight scene. Um, he just jumps off the helicopter and lands on the 18 wheeler, but Hopkins has to rappel off a rope. So like, is he just that? Are we just supposed to assume he's just that much more of a physical specimen than Hopkins, or like, why can he do that, but Hopkins had to rappel?
yeah, some of it could just be considered tactics, but I hear exactly what you're saying. And one of the things I did think was funny because I kind of was trying to compare all of the people that I thought might have superpowers. So we got Cap, we got Bucky eventually, and then we got the new Captain America, Johnny Walker, which is a pretty awesome name when I think about it.
I just isn't
Um,
that an alcohol? Isn't that like a
yeah,
whiskey?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh yeah. But so what I liked that I was able to kind of draw a conclusion from all of the movies, and then this is in Captain America's first movie when he's getting flown over to go save Bucky by Carter and Tony Stark's dad is actually the pilot of the plane.
Right, right.
He jumps out with a parachute and he has a gun with him. We don't really remember him having a gun ever, but he had a gun just like this Captain America had a gun on his first mission.
True.
He jumped out of the plane without a parachute or, any kind of help to your point. And Bucky in this episode jumps out of the plane without a parachute.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of funny to see how, again, just kind of looking at the power levels or potential power levels. It's like Bucky can jump out of a plane and land on the ground and like knew he wasn't going to be hurt. Like that's pretty wild when I think about it.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, in a way, you could say that those super soldiers punch harder than dropping out of a plane from 200 feet. Like they seem to hurt him more than the dropping out of a plane did. So again, I'm always just trying to look at that hurt him, so this shouldn't hurt him. Where do I go from here? But I thought it was interesting that we kind of had like Bucky jumps out of a plane, no parachute. Looking back at Steve Rogers' first air jump was he was using his parachute like a little baby.
For sure. Steve was the worst. Uh,
Um, Go ahead.
I was just gonna say if you were thinking we were rounding up, finishing with the new cap, I had a few more things that kind of like
Give it to me.
sort of tie in. So kind of what we're talking about, really. But I'm gonna have to bring in the flag smashers a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Well, even before we get to there, what uh, the big three that Sam and Bucky were talking about, androids, aliens,
Yeah.
and wizards. Is that right?
I always want to say asteroids, but yeah, wizards is
Yeah,
correct.
there's a lot of A's, but what I thought was interesting that was it was I don't know if it was just treated as a joke or whatever, but John Walker says that too when they're in the back of the Jeep and they're about to get in with him.
Yeah, we're
He's like,
pretty
"Yo,
sure
it's a
it's one
big
of the big
three."
three.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so like, is that just a is that because he mentioned they were spying on Red Wing and so like maybe they heard Sam say that, or do you think that's like an actual thing in the government? Like when we
I think
first
it's
heard,
a thing.
like it's an actual thing.
Yeah, like in the MCU world and universe, people will all say that I have that lingo.
Okay, because when the scene with Bucky and Sam was first presented, I thought it was just Sam being funny, like I think he was like he meant what he said that he thought it could be one of the big three, but I thought it was just like something he came up with right then and was, you know, being witty. But when the other Cap said it, I was like, oh, okay, like this is this a thing or is this like a clue that they were spying? But I guess it seems like it being a thing would be the more logical answer, but I don't know. Okay. So the flag smashers, we get the scene where they're going and that local whoever that guy is like letting him stay there and helping him out or whatever.
Mhm.
Um Carly, the leader girl, gets that text that says like you took what was mine, I'm going to find you and kill you.
Mhm.
So presumably from what we know thus far, they're having issues with the power broker and even there's a later scene at the airport where seemingly that's the power broker or at least his minions chasing them. So you would think, okay, this message is probably from the power broker, right? Which I think that's like probably the case. But what I thought could be interesting is, and this ties into what you were saying earlier about like how the hell did New Cap and Hopkins get there so fast, or whatever. Like they maybe had their own agenda and weren't really just there because Sam was there or whatever. What if so the Flag Smashers stole the super serum for themselves, obviously, presumably from the power broker. What if that super serum was meant for New Cap? Like that was his. He was supposed to take that, but they stole it. And so that maybe a message was from him saying, like, you took what was mine. I'm going to find and kill you. Which, again, kind of like a far out there thing. It's much more
I
likely
love
that
it.
it's the
I
power
love it.
broker.
That's what it has to be. I now believe that is the only reasonable explanation.
But and it could even maybe be a combination of the two. Like the text was from the power broker, but like that super serum that they stole was maybe meant for John Walker. And so like, even if it wasn't him being the one that sent the text, perhaps that was meant for him. Um
No, I agree.
so just thought that
I
was interesting because and then maybe that's why he showed up at that fight because he's been tracking them kind of regardless of what Sam's been doing, trying to find him.
That text came after the fight though.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Yup, yup. I didn't actually catch the whole Power Broker's name drop until the second rewatch for me. When they're leaving the hangar and he's like, "The Power Broker's men are here."
Mm.
Um, I didn't catch that the first time. But I like the text message idea for sure. Are we ready for Bucky and Sam time?
Um, yeah, I think so.
Nice. So, got a lot here for you because Bucky's my favorite character. So,
Okay.
he's in an apartment empty by himself when he's watching the shield get handed away. Uh, kind of depressing because it was empty. Doesn't have anyone in his phone. I'm starting to feel real bad for him. And all of a sudden, I was like, why is he not in Wakanda? They even
Yeah,
talk about him getting that White Wolf shout out nickname, and then which I
true.
love. Let's get that to work. Let's just give him his own movie called The White Fucking Wolf. You're welcome. But
Yeah, good
for real
point. I
though,
don't
like,
know.
why is he not in Wakanda? Did he have like a falling out? Did he feel like he overstayed his welcome? Did they tell him, "Hey, we love you, but you bring trouble, you gotta go." You know?
Yeah, interesting. I don't because he did even recall his time there fondly. So I don't know. Maybe because during that time he was still kind of like on the run as an enemy of the state or whatever, and now he's back conditionally with this pardon and stuff. So maybe he just like
Had to
wanted
come
to
home.
come home, or maybe even had to as part of the conditions of it. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's a good point. Maybe he'll end up there ultimately. I think
Um.
the White Wolf is in the comics, but it was never Bucky though. Um, but it was like
Wait, the White Wolf was in the comics?
yeah, that's like a character in the comics, but it was never Bucky.
Oh, that stinks.
It was like a uh, and I never have read it or anything, so bear with me if this information is way off. But like it was like a kind of like a fixer or like a secret service almost kind of dude for Wakanda. Like would go around and handle shit basically. Um, So, I mean, they could be setting that up. So maybe he does go back and like takes on that role. Maybe he'd be
That'd
in
be cool.
BP2.
I love it. I love it. Let's do it. Bring him back for sure and everything. Um, but so he sees that and he immediately goes to Sam, which I thought was pretty funny in a way. Gets on to him, and then Sam bites back. In that moment, I had a couple interesting thoughts. So he was like, "Nice to see you, Bucky," which is pretty well received after not getting any, didn't reply to any of my messages. I reached
Right.
out 1,000 times and never got anything. Now you just show up to get mad at me. I already know what it's about. You scream at me the first time that you see me, and I'm extending back to you some courteousness.
Yeah.
Then he's like, "Let me just stop you right there. What you're not gonna do with your overextended life is tell me about my rights." And I felt like that was another subtle way of an explosion that's on the horizon for Sam to explode and get real honest in how he feels about America, the army, and the mantle itself. And I think a lot of us keep thinking that Sam has this worry of picking up the mantle and not doing a good job. And I'm starting to think that it's not that at all, and that he has all the confidence in the world that he could easily do the job just as good as anyone else could, but he just doesn't want to because why would I want to represent, America when America doesn't want to love or represent me? And as, much as I loved Captain America, that doesn't really translate into me wanting to be him. Steve Rogers loved his country, flaws and all. Sam might not feel the same way. And I
Yeah.
think that could be what ends up happening is we hear that Sam, everyone's like, dude, just take it. You're gonna be okay. He might finally like, dude, I know I'd be okay. What the fuck? Like, I would be amazing. Have you guys seen me in episode 1? With the shield that basically be unstoppable. The guy who shot me on the helicopter would not have said like it would have reflected and killed him. And it's like he probably just doesn't want to do it. And I'm making some leaps here, but I feel like this is the little crumbs that they're leaving for us to pick up on. That he's more mad at the establishment and not wanting to be a part of that than he is worried about filling Steve's shoes, which in some ways he might think I can't fill Steve's shoes because he loved people more than I could ever love humanity. Not in I will never fill Steve's shoes because he was superhuman and I can't throw the shield as hard, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think they're dropping seeds like that.
I love all that. Like
Yeah,
I like
well, for
that. And
sure. Freaking
I
genius.
think
Go
you're
on.
onto something there. And I think perhaps another element of it, which I personally think it's what you just said, nail on the head. But perhaps another element of it is like he knows that they don't want him either. Because
Yeah,
like clearly
like they
they had
never
this,
even asked him
yeah,
or
and
something.
clearly they had this other dude lined up just like waiting to go. So
Take it
like
immediately.
yeah, like 100% it was already in the book. So like not to jump off subject here, but makes me wonder like if Sam hadn't given the shield up, what were
Would
they
they have
gonna
taken
do?
it?
Like would they? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
were
mean I
they
think
gonna?
they would have, but like would they have
Yeah.
taken him out or
How
just
we might find out even later through more dialogue that they like heavily encouraged him to retire it when he was giving those doubts and thoughts.
I bet so, yeah.
Um, but so then they have that whole alien androids wizard thing, which is just so funny and like that to me is their chemistry in a bottle. That's like that's that kind of scene and that dialogue and what you could do there with those two amazing actors is why I make this TV show. They've had other little fun things like that. The back seat of the car, hey, can you scoot over? No, and then he kicks the back seat and moves over anyways. Um, they're having the fight at the airport with Spider-Man, and Red Wing just eventually grabs him and pulls him out of the hangar and he's like, "Why could you not have done that,
Yeah.
before?"
Like I
And it's
hate you.
that kind of stuff is yeah, that kind of stuff just is exactly what this is. And they've done a couple different fun things like with the chair later on staring at the in front of the therapist, but also this alien androids and wizards thing is just awesome. Like I hope that becomes like a thing we hear in another movie from someone
I feel
else.
like we've got to. Like it's a missed
Yeah,
opportunity if we don't.
like Ant-Man will say it or something. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, you don't even know that, even I know that, you know. Um, but yeah, I also thought it was funny, and I kind of talked about this in the first episode. Um, that like we have the trailer that like kind of shows the scene where they're going to be jumping out of the plane and don't have a plan and stuff. And that always kind of gave me this feeling, that they were already together, and it turns out they weren't together. And so then it turns out that Sam wants to be, but Bucky doesn't. And so then I've digested that, and turns out the way it ends up being is that Bucky does want to come, and Sam's like telling him, no, don't come. And now something I have to say, and I was trying to just move on and not say this, but something that's blowing my mind right now thinking about it. Spider-Man shoots the web and it hits Red Wing, right? And then Red Wing flies out the hangar and pulls Spider-Man with him.
I think
And
so,
it blows
yeah.
my mind that Spider-Man couldn't grab, like he couldn't like just swing him
Yeah.
around.
You
Like,
I
wait,
mean,
what?
he sh-
This is not making sense
yeah. I
anymore.
mean, you're 100% right, but I think that's the type of thing that it's like comic book
Gotta
movie,
let
just
go of.
got to
Yeah,
accept
let
it.
it go.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That would never happen.
Sorry. I didn't even mean to bring that up, but it just hit me. But so, hey, do you have any more from the hangar or them dropping in?
Um yeah, well, kind of just one note like kind of right before that is when Bucky's like you touched on it, his empty apartment and everything. Just to circle back to how I started this episode is that like that moment is what I love, and I love that like we get those moments to breathe in this story. Like we get to just see with no dialogue, no sound or anything, just like him reacting to seeing everything his best friend, his only friend in the world built, and like just being probably bastardized in his eyes, and just
Oh
like
yeah.
the despair and like the anger that that would cause him. And I just love that we got to like sit in that moment. And I'm probably like going like looking too much into it, but I just love that, like, so glad we're getting a show that like we get to see the reaction of Bucky to someone else taking on the mantle, and just getting to explore that. And so yeah, I just love that. And I totally like, not that it didn't make sense to anybody, but it just made so much sense to me that like that would really set him off, and that would be the impetus for him to go find Sam and let him like give him a piece of his mind. Because it's like, yeah, like that's the only thing he had really was his friendship with Steve. And here it is. Sam just like threw away the thing that was everything to Steve, and he's like, "What? What the fuck?" Like, I don't know. I just loved that, and uh, so yeah, I don't think I
Yeah.
had, since we already talked about the big three thing. I don't think I had anything else up to that point, at least. Oh wait,
So
okay,
I've
I
got a
lied.
cat that might be coming on screen here. He
Oh well,
wants
I hope he
to become
does.
famous,
Hope he
but
does.
it'll be the fattest cat anyone has ever seen, and I will be screaming in pain if he jumps up out here. He's
um,
making side eyes at me right now.
is it Sebastian?
Yeah, it's Sebastian. Yeah.
Nice.
Now he's leaving.
Oh, he heard
All
me
I had to do
talking.
was say his name.
Yep,
He was
he's like,
like,
I'm
"Oh,
out.
okay, I'm
Y'all
out.
don't
I'm
use me
out."
for clout. Not
Yeah.
today.
um. So they get in the plane. They go on the mission. The mission doesn't really go very well. We've kind of talked about that. Um,
I did like,
they
and
didn't really go ahead.
just a quick aside, if we were skipping over the battle real quick, since we already talked about it, I liked that we got to see the super soldier effects via Bucky. Like, I love that shit. Like, cause yeah, oh, he's super strong, but like I love it when we get to see other aspects of that. So I loved when he was running out of the warehouse and then like easily catches up with the first truck and overtakes it even and then jumps on the other one. I don't know, I just really like that. I love those moments because I like in Infinity War when Cap and T'Challa were running to go confront that army and they were
Yeah,
like way in front of everybody else. I eat that up. So I
that
had to
was
give a
tight.
special shout out to that moment real quick.
Yeah, no, and I even want to talk about that part in it before the fight,
Oh,
because it's interesting that he's like, Steve had a plan, but then when he landed on the ground, it was like, my plan is to be brute force, 100%. And he literally says, I've got like a titanium arm or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And in that moment, I started to think about it, and I was like, man, Bucky is an assassin, but I guess he doesn't really know technology. We've never really had a moment where we've said, dang, Bucky's really smart, you know?
True.
And they've really done a good job of like showing Sam work on his own stuff,
Yeah.
and then him being like, yo, wait, like I want to see where it goes, showing that he has like good instincts. And it kind of made me mad that like they made Bucky seem like just somewhat dim-witted about to like, say Sam's not there. I mean, he might have died. Was gonna go roll up on six dudes that are just like him.
Yeah, fair. Did they
And
know?
so
They didn't know at that point though, right? That they were enhanced?
they were picking up some of that stuff, and he was like, "So they're super strong. Who
Okay.
cares?" Um, but I don't think he knew they were like super soldiers. He
Right.
just thought, "Oh, these dudes are really strong. They're grabbing that box." But he doesn't
That's
really
right.
have much tech. Like throughout this whole thing, he really only ever has just wielded a gun. Like
Right.
Captain America has his shield that defies physics. Like I guess Bucky has this arm, but it never like opens up for like a laser to come out of, or like, right? I mean,
No,
is
you're
there
right. I
really
just
any advantage of the arm other than it doesn't like it's not flesh that can be cut away, I guess? But it doesn't make it his right arm's not stronger than his left arm, right?
that's interesting.
Because he's a super
I mean,
soldier.
it is in terms of durability,
Yeah, exactly. It's
but
not
I don't
human
know if it
flesh,
like
so
punches stronger necessarily. I feel like actually it probably would be stronger, right?
okay.
Because I
I don't
mean,
know.
comic book, so we're gonna have to bear with it, right? But like, assume if he can exert the same force with both limbs, the one that's the strongest material in the world is probably gonna be more impactful, right?
Pack more of a punch.
I don't know,
Okay.
but
I don't know either. I don't know either, but I just kind of thought like they've really never given him much other than like a gun. Like even in Endgame, no, Infinity War, with the big fight that we were just talking about.
yeah, he's just
He he's
machine
just shooting
gunning
his gun. Yeah.
with a rocket.
Yeah, he picks Rocket up at one point, and that's like their cool moment. And they're like,
I'm
"Yeah, we're shooting guns
I'm
in a
hoping that
circle."
I
It's
don't
like, dude,
think
you're a
it
super soldier. Why aren't you out there running with Cap and Black Panther?
true. And maybe, I mean, this might be me giving them too much of benefit of the doubt, but maybe it's because there was never really room to explore him, in those movies with a million other characters. So maybe we'll get to see more of his abilities, or if not abilities, like what he's good at. I can't
Or
think
like
of the
show
word.
it like a part where maybe he's like stuck and then he like is able to like reverse his arm completely and be like, I'm not stuck. You're fucked. Oh,
I do
knock
kind
him out
of.
or something.
I hope we get some more flashbacks with him. Like, I don't know if that was just a one-off thing in the first episode to set up the fact that he killed that guy's son, but and I don't know. I just think it'd be cool to get more flashbacks of like stuff he did back as the Winter Soldier. And I know we haven't gotten to Isaiah Bradley yet, but I thought it would be really cool if we got a flashback that showed their fight against each other, where
So I
Isaiah
even
rips
thought
off
like
his arm or whatever. Oh, a whole
a Winter
movie?
Soldier movie, or like a spin-off mini series or something, where we see a young Isaiah Bradley in there being Captain America and holding down the mantle. That would be so tight.
That'd be cool. So it would
And
be
then
like Isaiah's movie.
yeah, and then the cameo would be that Bucky is the villain or one of the villains.
That'd be
The
cool.
villain would be someone else, and then the cameo would be like, oh
Would
my
be
gosh,
that'd be cool.
this is that scene where he rips the arm off of Bucky, and then he does that, he kicks his ass, which just really blew my mind. Them making him exist out of nowhere, and like Steve never knew about him. Um, I don't know if we want to jump to that. Are you prepared to do that?
Was there anything else? Where were we again? We were truck fight
Just talking
basically.
about the truck and the fight. They kind of got their butts kicked.
Um,
I guess Sam did the one thing he thought to save the guy's life,
Save Bucky's
which
life.
was
Yeah, I
just
mean
to
that was.
tackle him.
I mean, I feel like
I
that
thought
was
that
kind
was
of
weird.
like. I feel like that was TV show. Like, we're ending this scene more so
Yeah,
than it
yeah.
being really like what would make sense. Because I mean, even if Bucky fell off that truck, he was gonna be fine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, again, that's kind of something I didn't really understand. Like, those two dudes were super soldiers too, but like he's supposed to be like a mad at badass assassin. So like really they're just on even fields and he lost. So
that
kind of
little girl kicked
confusing.
your ass.
Yeah, she really did though. But I guess she kind of got the drop on him, and then from there he was just fighting an uphill battle. But
Yeah,
uh, yeah, they didn't look great there. They didn't really have the same teamwork that the other two had.
right. But
And
they're
like you
building it.
said earlier,
They're building it. I
yeah, I
think.
guess, but they've been on missions together. They should have it together by now. I'm
Yeah,
upset.
yeah, but not really, not really.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
before we jump to Isaiah, there were well, I'll say one more thing about Sam, but then also a quick note about the therapy session and stuff. Because that was before that, right?
Therapy session is after that.
Therapy session is after Isaiah.
No.
Okay, I probably said that weird, but that's what I meant. Like, therapy's before
Okay, yeah.
Isaiah. So before we jump to that, I
Yes,
wanted to hit
correct,
that
correct,
too.
correct.
But real quick, and this is kind of the exact same thing I said about John Walker, but now I'm going to say it about Sam. Is what do you think his deal is with the government? Like, we in episode 1, it opens with him on a mission trying to save
For
that
the air,
dude. But so like, seemingly that's not just something Sam heard about and decided to do that day. Like, seemingly that was a mission that was given to him, right? So who's giving him these missions, and like what kind of autonomy does he have? Like, can he just do whatever he wants? Because in this
I feel
episode,
like he's a freelancer, so the army went to him with a mission. I don't know who. That's a good question. But came to him and said, "Hey, help us with this," and he said, "Okay, yeah, for sure." Because he said to Torres in a line of dialogue, he's like, "Ever since I've been letting the Air Force look at this, my tech's been messing up and
yeah,
stuff." And one thing that I thought when he said that, and I didn't mention it last episode, I was real focused on the screaming, but the idea that like maybe his tech was messing up because they were like trying to replicate it, deconstruct it, reconstruct it type of thing. Because originally that tech was the army's, right? Like he didn't create it all.
true. I mean, the original wingsuit or whatever definitely was, but since he's exhibited engineering skills, perhaps maybe him and or Stark did some of it. Or they obviously did some of it, but who knows how much. But yeah, so like I agree that the first one was probably it wasn't just him doing that, but for during this episode, he just called up Torres and got on a plane to go accomplish his own thing. Like what he did in episode 2, I don't think was a mission given to him. I think it's something he was pursuing, right? So it just made me wonder, like, can he just do whatever he wants because he's an Avenger, or like, does he just have like certain allowances within the military to use drop off planes and stuff like that? Not really an important question, but it's just I was curious about it because like obviously they didn't want him to be Cap, so there's some sort of like rocky relationship between him and the government, especially since he was one of the people that didn't sign the accords and went off with Cap and was an outlaw for a while. So I mean, I wonder if we'll even get answers to this, but I'm just curious. Like,
Isaiah happened before therapy
did it?
because Bucky gets arrested, leaving
Oh,
Isaiah's.
you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Oh,
Good thing we didn't even get to that yet.
yeah, Isaiah Bradley time. Which I really said everything I wanted to there. I just thought it was interesting. I see you right now. I thought it was interesting that like one that he was so old. Um, but he threw that thing and it still got stuck in the wall. So that lets you know he's a super soldier. But why do you think he'd aged? That's really the only thing that I haven't covered already.
Well, I mean, he wasn't like ancient, but he was,
He was older.
he was old, but he never got stuck in the ice. And I guess we don't really know how aging as a super soldier works. They've kind of been like
Yeah, I guess that's right. They've all been stuck in the ice.
not to
You're
jump
right.
off in a tangent, but I don't think in Endgame, I don't think Cap would look like that. Like unless maybe he lived for 200 years in the alternate timeline and that's when he came back. But like I feel like Cap would have to be like 200 to look how they showed him. Anyway, we don't need to get off on that. But yeah, Bucky was frozen to and just got woken up for missions, and Cap was in ice for however many years. So maybe he's just that old because he's been living all that time.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Um.
I love I love where they're going with this whole show and that they're exploring these racial issues and just like we get to see these things tackled through the lens of the MCU, which I just think is like a powerful thing even because this is the MCU is like the biggest entertainment franchise in the world and it's willing to tackle these issues as opposed they easily just could have like done the safe thing and ignored it, but I don't know. I'm just excited for. I'm obviously not excited for like the systemic racism and stuff that's displayed, but I'm excited for like
Why are you so excited
I'm
about
excited
this?
that they're tackling it and we're gonna get to see kind of that unfold. And yeah, I don't know. I really like it. Back to my first comment about how I love these shows and the things they get to explore. So,
Yeah,
boom.
no, and I really, really like everything that they did with the scene, you know.
Me too.
Him not helping them, I liked that. That felt real. Um, having that anger, telling him to like get the fuck out. Him
Yep.
getting to mention, pardon me, that the that he was literally imprisoned and run tests on. Like you said, it's not like anyone's excited to hear that, but it's fun that they're getting to explore that conversation by having these scenes.
Yeah.
And then walking right out of the house, right into something that could easily happen today in the street. Two people are arguing, they come up and they want to find out, if the African American individual is, causing the whole mess.
Yeah.
I wanted to quickly, before we go off, like as you said, on a tangent here.
We good about those
I have
tangents.
been pulled, yeah, I have been pulled over before, doing something I shouldn't have been doing, and I was with um, one of my friends. I guess I won't say his name in case he doesn't want me to talk about this or like he gets in trouble with his job or something. But we were together. We had doing something we shouldn't have been doing, and we got caught. We were in my car. uh the officers were like, "Hey, what do you have, or what else do you have?" And I was like, "This and this." And even though I'm the one talking and knowing where everything is, like in this glove compartment or in the back seat back here, and I'm my car driving all of that, I still they were like, "Hey, did your friend, give this to you? Is this his stuff?" And I was just like, "What? No. Like, what the hell?" And
Yeah.
they ended up being pretty cool about the situation, but I mean, that was just blatant, you know, racist tendencies from an officer of the law, and
100%.
that happened to me while I was in college. So I had wasn't in my hometown at the time, but in my hometown where I went to school, shout out Arkansas, Fayetteville, go Hogs. The cops there were always very understanding and helpful, and it's probably because it's a college town. And so then I was in a non-college town, more of the real world, and I saw quickly the differences between how I was being treated and how he was being treated, and how they were like angling to make me get this other individual in trouble. And
Yeah.
then once I wouldn't do it, we're like, okay, well then here are warnings, get out of here. And it was like, well, if it's mine, apparently we can do whatever we want.
It's
And
crazy.
so that interaction in others has led me just to not really love our police force. I respect them for risking their lives for us on a daily basis, and I'm not saying there's not a good one out of all of them, but I think there is systemic racism there. And so it was really interesting to see this scene because it really reminded me of that one particular incident that I had, amongst others, but this one in particular because of how innocent they were afterwards. Like
Yeah.
they thought it was his, they were building up, they thought this whole other thing was happening, it was mine, they didn't care, we moved on. They thought this whole huge fight was happening, this big commotion. Then they were like, "Oh, you're you're the Winter Soldier, and you're
Oh,
Falcon."
you're the
Like,
Falcon.
"Whoops, our
Sorry, I didn't
bad, sorry."
recognize you.
Yeah, oh, whoops. And it's like, dude, do you realize you were just being racist as fuck? Like, don't like apologize to me or pretend like you were doing your job.
Yeah.
You were just being a complete racist fucking asshole. And so liked that they did the scene, thought it was crazy, and I thought it was really funny how they had Bucky get arrested and
Yeah.
taken off in cuffs. And it's
Yeah.
just also humorous that like two dudes are fighting in the street. One has a metal arm and is an assassin. The other one has done nothing wrong and
Is an
thrown his life
Avenger.
on the line. Yeah. And they're like coming even at the Avenger. And again, stealing this from the clip I saw from Spellman, though, that he said, being a superhero doesn't transcend the fact that he's an African American living in a racist country. And so, again, just another example where they used a really awesome, simple scene. And I say simple because it doesn't have like, special effects or long
Right.
drawn out fight sequences. It's just a couple lines of dialogue, and it's a really good way to make the whole audience feel at ease and communicate a message there with like 30 seconds of screen time. So
Yeah, like that scene and the one preceding it with Isaiah were some of the like quietest scenes of the whole episode, but they were the most powerful, really.
oh yeah, yeah. And again, what's exciting is that it's not a one-off thing that like in a movie you might have something like that and then the movie goes on to go do its whole thing. This I think will be a reoccurring motif that they keep coming back to that I just like really am excited to see how they explore it further. As I mentioned earlier, even wanting to see Sam, eventually just kind of explode and get honest. And that might not end up happening, but I really, really think so. Um, but that I'm now at the point where I want to talk about the therapy session. Are you good to move
Uh,
to the therapy?
Couple things real quick on the Isaiah
Yeah,
scene
yeah. Sorry,
still.
sorry.
No, you're fine. Um, I don't know how much you know about the comics or how much you want to know, but it seems like they're
Oh
being
yeah, lay it on me.
seems like they're being pretty true to the comics with him. I mean, obviously they could do a left turn and it'd be completely different, but um, he was Cap in the comics. Well, I don't know if he was like literally had the mantle Captain America, like as far as the public was concerned, but like he was Captain America while Cap was on the ice because the government was like, we need another super soldier now. So they did tons of experiments on tons of different people, like fucked up shit. And Isaiah just happened to be one that like survived and it worked on, right? So, they utilized him for stuff, and that's, we got the little anecdote about him fighting Bucky or whatever. Um, and this ties into the whole racial thing and everything that we were just talking about. But he comes back, and this man that should be a hero, they instead put him in jail for 30 years. And
Yeah. Oh
and
God.
not only do they put him in jail, but they do experiments on him and use his blood to try to recreate more people like him. And so it's just like, he almost wasn't angry enough in that scene. Like he got like, I don't know. Like I can't wait. I hope Isaiah has a lot of scenes because I would love to just see that fleshed out and explored more. Um, but one other thing about that scene is his grandson in that scene, the kid that's in the house with him that opened the door and everything. He
Yeah.
was he was credited as Elijah Bradley, which in the comics, Elijah Bradley is another one of the Young Avengers, which they've been setting up in like all these different properties. So like I don't know if I mean Marvel definitely has the ability to plan things out this far, obviously, but I'm really interested to see if like that actor will at one point become Patriot, which is his hero name. And because like I mean, we set up Wiccan and Speed and WandaVision, but those kids were pretty young, so I doubt that like if we get a Young Avengers property at some point, it's probably not going to be those two actors. So I wonder like if they do it, will this actor that we saw in this episode actually be him? It's kind of like a very subtle introduction. If so, like most people probably missed that unless you like a big comic person. But I just thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, I bet less people than we realized missed it, but I missed it. So there are people out there. I didn't think about all that, and that would be really cool. And to your point, they really have been setting up the Young Avengers.
Yeah, so we got Wiccan Speed. We now have him. We have Ant Man's daughter, and we have the Hawkeye girl, which I forget
Hawkeyes.
her name right now. But and obviously that hasn't happened yet. But she's one as well in his show that's coming out. We probably even have more that I'm just not thinking of right now. Oh, did I lose you?
Um, I don't think so.
Okay, I
I
thought
lost
my
everybody.
internet was being weird, but I think we're good.
Oh. Um. So, are we ready for
Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
the shrink?
we're ready.
Because again, no, don't love them. I'm obsessed. That's who I'm probably gonna talk about the most or be able to contribute the most. But um, something I thought about while rewatching the first Avenger is, man, Bucky like created Captain America with Carter, Agent Carter, in my eyes. And like after they get rescued, he's like, "Let's hear it for Captain America," and everyone cheers for him. And then he goes on to like get his own platoon and stuff. But one of the things that I thought about is he rescues him at the beginning of that movie, and he's like getting tortured. Then he gets, dies in the movie, but really gets captured and tortured again, and then is rescued by Cap again.
Yeah,
And up until that, he's like an 18-year-old kid that gets shipped off to war. So it's like
yep.
his whole life. Think about from 18, you just get abducted, tortured, saved, thought you were dead,
Oh, did I lose you?
tortured. I still have you.
Uh,
You're looking at me like you don't have me.
okay, I have you now, but you keep freezing. It must be something on my end.
Yeah, I'm not free. But the crazy part is to me is like he's just been getting woken up and then his brain scrambled and then he goes and does like a horrible dark mission and then just goes right back under and then gets woken up and goes back under and gets woken up and goes back under,
Yep.
constantly having your brain scrambled. And then like you're finally out on the other side, you finally have some peace, and then your best friend dies. And it's like that's another reason why I'm like, why would you leave Wakanda? Like just
Right.
stay there, man. But maybe it's a part of his and it makes a lot of sense. I hadn't thought about it till you mentioned it, but part of his like uh release and pardon that he's comes back and does those things.
Yeah.
But I think it can't be overstated, and it probably is um something we all just kind of move past quickly and forget. But like he lived this shit. That's about the mantle and the shield, and it going to Sam. So it's about wanting to believe in himself because the one person that believed in him now might not be right about him if he was wrong about Sam. So still pretty selfish looking
Oh,
inwardly there about because he was a side character in a way to Cap's story rather than looking at from his perspective and how like think about if all the movies had been about him and his journey. Jesus
yeah.
God, I'd be feeling so bad for this. Got the other side of that. It's like and be gone. It's like yeah, that would be tough.
Man, I might have lost you again. I don't know what's going on. It's very frustrating. Can you hear me?
I'm here. I'm getting a text. Yeah, I can hear you. Nothing on my end looks weird.
Like, am I freezing on your end or anything?
No. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know if I've heard every
Okay, I was
word, but
like,
because like
you're
you're
not freezing at all, and then you're like, I'm not talking.
like
I'm
your
really confused
camera's
on
been
what you want
frozen
me
for
to
me
say.
for like 3 minutes.
Oh man, that stinks.
Yours isn't though on your screen. You're good.
Nah, my screen, I'm moving, and
Well,
nobody's been frozen.
oh maybe Nate's downloading something or something. I'll have to give him a heads up next time.
What a jerk.
But anyway, didn't mean to derail.
Um,
You still there?
hmm, yeah, yeah, I am.
All right. Well, um,
I got a text. That was weird.
you got a text?
It's from the future. Yeah.
Uh,
Um. Okay, but so um, they have that heart to heart, and I thought it was um interesting just that Bucky got real and was willing to kind of share his feelings there, you know, and
yeah,
Sam kind of and his reasoning too. But I thought it was weird that like Bucky said all that and then Sam was just like, "Yeah, are you done?" It's like, dude, what? He just bared his soul to you. Be nice.
yeah,
Uh, and he was like, thought was the right thing. Good for whatever. But yeah, that was just a tough scene for me. And I know they try to kind of make it lighthearted and stuff, but I really wish we could have gotten more from Sam.
yeah. And I think we
Audience
will.
member, I wanted it out.
But yeah. Oh, and sorry if I'm interrupting you. It's still chopping for me. So like
No,
I feel like you're pausing, but then you start up again. So you're probably not. Oh man, this is the worst.
you just for the first time. Yeah, I say we keep powering through though.
Yeah, I mean we're almost done, but I'm still annoyed that this is happening. Uh,
Yeah, you're frozen now.
But let's see. I agree. Like that whole scene was awesome, and I agree that like I wanted more from Sam, but I think it's coming. You know, it's just like his character development that he's not. We're not there yet. You know, we're not ready for.
Ready to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but and sorry if you just said this because maybe it was cut out and I didn't hear it, but I just love the line where he was like, "If he was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me." That was chef's kiss.
Yeah, yeah. Really, we got Bucky to like break it all out and throw it out there. Episode 2. We know how Bucky feels about this. But didn't really get what we wanted to
Right.
have us wait. But um I actually have written down here in my notes. This is interesting. The vaccine is how we introduce mutant. Um, to maybe what you were saying. Vaccine that they've got is really what gives people powers. But it only works on people with the mutant gene. So
Hmm.
if you have the mutant gene, it'll give you powers because it's based on your genetics.
That'd be interesting.
But all those people happen to get super strength, that would seem weird to me. Um, Excited about the power broker, but really from there, them going outside and talking about then the Captain Nemo. What's his name?
Zemo.
Um, Zemo. There we go. Getting to go see Zemo is going to be exciting. I really like that actor, so pumped about that.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that, and that like I didn't expect that's how he was going to get introduced. Like I didn't expect Bucky to go. Like I figured he was going to be broken out of prison, and they were going to learn about it, and they were going to have to, be like because they have the history with him, be like, well, let's go fix this. But no, they're seeking him out, so I liked that. And it makes me even wonder uh, if they are even the ones who facilitate him getting out in order to help them, since he obviously he doesn't like superheroes. He wants them all gone. And in Civil War, he even exterminated a bunch of super soldiers. So perhaps they might even want to use him and his expertise to fight the Flag Smashers.
Maybe the text message was from him.
I thought about that too. I had that thought, but then since it showed him in jail at the end, I was like, I guess not. But I mean, I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility that he'd have an ability to send a message to
They
somebody if he
showed him in
wanted.
jail.
Yeah, at the very end, it shows him
They
in.
showed him in jail.
Yeah, that's where they're going to like go talk to him in jail.
Yeah, I remember that part. But I didn't remember them seeing him in jail.
Yeah,
Um,
it showed him. And funny little tidbit that I actually didn't know this. I won't take credit, but I saw people talking about it. He was in cell 2187, which is the same cell that Princess Leia was in, and also the same number that was Finn's stormtrooper designation, like Finn's name was
oh,
FN
2187.
2187. Yeah, I thought that was a fun
That's
little
cool. I
Easter
like
egg.
that. Yeah, I like their Easter eggs. I like those.
Which not to
Give me more of
not to
those.
make it too much of a parallel, but with Leia, she was in jail, and the heroes of the story got her out, and so maybe it's Sam and Bucky are gonna get him out. That's probably a stretch, but
Hmm.
who knows?
He gets out somehow.
Yeah,
I think we've seen the trailers.
yeah, for sure.
But I got. That's all I can remember about episode 2.
Yeah, that's pretty much
About
all I
you.
got too. I mean, if you're done freaking stalling, I'd like to get to the screaming now.
Yeah, that was really bad on
Oh no.
my part. And this episode just gonna be screaming. None of this other nonsense where we're just catching up, talking about how good looking you look, man. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to start running and working out again. I don't want to do that stuff,
Screaming's
but
a
you're
good
making
workout.
me
So if
need
we
to.
if we actually did that, then we'd
Mhm.
probably both be fine.
Mhm. Yeah, well, then that's perfect. Let's go ahead and get our screams going. Did I already say what scream I was gonna do?
No, I don't think you did, but should we do the same one or no? Oh.
I jerk. But whoa, 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 whoa. Your headset is like my headset. Like you
Yeah.
have this little guy tucked up inside here.
Yeah. Well, it's because I'm using this mic,
Oh
but yeah.
man, so
Yeah, it keeps
just need to get that cool
it keeps
closet.
freezing. But I think I got you now.
Yeah, let's scream while it freezes.
Yeah, but so I didn't hear what you
Are you
said.
ready? What scream are you giving us today?
Well, I didn't hear what you said when
Oh,
I
I just
said,
said
should we
let's
do
get
the
ready
same
for the
one?
scream. No, no, no,
Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna
no,
go in that case with
no.
medieval knight getting impaled. What are you gonna do?
I had one and I don't remember what it is, so I'm gonna just think of a scream. Um, how about everybody's happy. It's the end of the movie. Just survived, but I came in and saved the day. But then the person that's the evil villain type, you know, raises up from the dead, pulls out his gun and shoots another bullet, and it kills, my love interest. Um,
Okay.
and so, I'm gonna be screaming like, no.
Okay. Can dig that.
You want to count us down since I did last time? I can let you have the honors this time.
Uh, sure. All right, you ready?
And then I'm just closing my laptop after this, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna make sure. I'm kind of seeing if we can get in a window where it's not freezy. But when I start doing the fingers, that's when we'll go. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Ah!